Hi, gorgeous Sagittarius family. Welcome to November 2019. We're getting into Sag season later this month, so happy birthday to those November Sages out there. Ooh, this is always a powerful month for Sagittarians because as we transit through Scorpio, we're hitting into some deep territory before we break into the Sun in Sag, and then often the Sun in Sagittarius has an intensity too, and your birthday season tends to come with a lot of intensity and growing pains as well, so it's always an interesting journey with you all. Venus is going to be in your sign for a good part of most of November, so that's going to be fun. That's going to be very connective, but we also have this Mercury retrograde going on in Scorpio, in your 12th house, in the sign right before you. And you know, the few weeks before your birthdays and the few weeks before the sun hits into Sagittarius is always a really deep time of integration, of incorporation, of connection, of checking in. And with a Mercury retrograde in Scorpio like this, it's really a time when it's not about external validation. It is about connecting to our soul source, to our wild voice, and that is a note for everyone. And if you're interested, I will be doing that Mercury retrograde in Scorpio video over on Patreon, so if you're interested in connecting with what's going on with that, highly recommend popping over there to hang with me. I would love to see you. Thanks to those of you who've joined me already. So we have this big, powerful Scorpio energy with this Mercury retrograde happening, all going on in your 12th house. And then, of course, we have a full moon in Taurus in your 6th house of your physical body. So you may be feeling a physical hit with that full moon in Taurus on the 12th. And then as the sun moves into Sagittarius, of course, the momentum picks back up. Mercury goes direct on the 18th. The sun moves into your sign on the 22nd. Venus and Jupiter conjunct in Sag on the 24th. And we have your new moon on the 26th. And there's this opening up. But here's what I want to say as well about October before we start into the cards and the note for you all. October's the last, or November. We're in October now, Sarah. Time and calendars. Who knew that worked? This November is the last full month of Jupiter in your sign. Jupiter's moving on over to Capricorn in December. And so this Mercury retrograde and this time in Scorpio is also a really important time for you all to kind of look back at how much that Jupiter transit has morphed you and how much that expansive transit has really changed the map and changed the course of things, and for you to take a breath and just think about what a wild ride you have been on. For many of you, while you were in the midst of this past year, it might have felt very frustrating or like you were stuck. It might have felt like you didn't really understand why there were certain things that were chaotic or that weren't working. Everybody kind of experienced it a little bit differently, but that level, like Jupiter and Sag, is so expansive that what it also does is it taxes our energetic system. It taxes it pushes us to the edge of what we think we can do, and then takes us even further. And what that can kind of do sometimes is frazzle and fry us a little bit. And so coming to the conclusion of this transit, Temperance came out, your card. I love it. Coming to the end of this transit, you know, I don't want you to be sad that Jupiter is moving on. I think it's actually a really nice thing. Jupiter moving into Capricorn is going to soften a lot of challenging aspects. It's going to give us some new information, and it's going to be blessing, you know, your second house. Two of Wands. All right, I'm loving it. It's going to be blessing your second house of what you love and value, what's beautiful, you know, a Venus-ruled house. So Jupiter will be happy there. But this last month of Jupiter and Sag, just take it all in. Take it all in. Okay, a whole bunch of cards wanted to come out. 9 of Cups, loving it. 4 of Swords, loving it. 5 of Wands, all right, I can see that. And 2 of Swords. Okay, we'll pull a couple more cards before we start talking through them. Feel through the last little bit here. You may not have been able to see exactly what was given to you in the midst of the storm, in the midst of the expansion, right? It's so much information, and you're not responsible for cataloging that all away and understanding it all beforehand, right? And taking that responsibility off your shoulders is the first step in freedom. But this month may be a time where you're kind of seeing how it all connects, how it all comes full circle, how it all makes sense in its own inherent way, where things that didn't work out, you're like, oh yeah, okay, now I can see why. Things that pushed you and made you learn new things, Wheel of Fortune, helped you expand into who you are now, re-envision, re-scrambling things that maybe you assumed were true for you. Now, with the way that things played out, you understand maybe that isn't true for me anymore. Maybe this isn't what I thought it was supposed to be, right? And all of that re-scrambling, kind of just understanding it all and taking a breath, especially before the sun hits into your sign. Okay, the moon wanted to come out, and so did the Ace. Or 8 of Wands. Okay, so put that aside. Generally speaking, you all, these cards are amazing. There's a lot of support here for you. And the one thing I will say before we go through the whole conversation is that don't try and once you're getting these full circle downloads where you're kind of understanding, oh, okay, I see how that all works. Don't try then to take it and be like, okay, let's move fast. Let's go, go, go. That will feel really inauthentic and frustrating. Because once again, we're working with slower, more mystic energy this month, and it's not about pushing. It's about resting back. Temperance is about tempering the heat, right? Tempering something really hot with something cool so that you create a concoction that is the perfect temperature. It's a new creation, and Temperance is all about alchemy, and it is your card. So even though you're a fire sign, even though you're mutable, even though you're passionate and opinionated and strong and vibrant and bright and all those amazing things, right? You are also deep and quiet and introspective, right? You have both sides. And when you're functioning at your highest level, my Sagittarian loves, it's when you combine these two, right? You don't have to always be burning bright and be the light in the room and be the one to lift everybody else up, right? And in fact, this month, taking some of that pressure off of yourself is very important. When you're in your most divine aspect, it is when you have combined these two parts of yourself and you allow that breath to breathe. You'll give yourself the grace and the warmth of calmness and not feeling like you have to push all the time, right? That's what Temperance is here to remind us of. Temperance is also re-envisioning and using alchemy in the way we see our life path, and there being a new and fresh perspective, which feeds into this Two of Wands, right? The Two of Wands is it's a way to peek into who we're becoming. It's the way I'm kind of seeing this energy, and it comes in to help us usher in a new era. Jupiter and Sag has been all about getting things moved, getting things cleared, getting things purged, getting things burnt up, getting things expanded, really magnifying anything that's working or not working. It's been very powerful. And what that has done is it's been clearing the way. It's been clearing the way for this next vision. And you are meant to be tapping into that. And this is the thing. It will be a quiet voice. At least starting this month, it is about a softer voice. But it's also has some really deep surprises in it about it, and learning about yourself and what really matters to you and what really lights you up. And it has to do with this restfulness right here. 9 of Cups, 4 of Swords. These are very restful energies. They're culminating energies. 9 is coming to the end of a cycle, and 4 is the culminating rounding out process. And both of these figures are resting back. One is resting into the knowledge that he is held and safe. One is doing deep rest of the intellect. not overthinking things, right? In both cases, there's a meditative quality to these figures. And what that's telling me is your best information is coming from a very meditative space. All 4 of these cards are meditation, right? They're different expressions of meditation and different expressions of the soft, quiet spaces and how much that's giving you this month. And how that is more valuable than gold, more valuable than external action. It's more potent, it's clearer, it's crisper, and deeper. And you are meant for this level of ease. Now, in true Sag fashion, there's a little bit of a desire for some rumbling, for some discussions, for some uncertainty, because I think the thing is that I love you, Sagittarians, and I really do. I know you want things to be good, and you want things to be fun, and you want things to be light and vibrant, but some of you are a little bit addicted to things being ambiguous, a little bit addicted to being indecisive, a little bit addicted to the anxiety that comes from not knowing. And when you're being invited into this space of ease and simplicity and meditative kind of just wholeness, that part of yourself that wants to go into, I don't know, I'm feeling ambiguous, I don't know how I'm going to do this, I'm going to fight against it, is peaking up. Now, you may have some difficult conversations this month because if you're tapping into the next person you're going to be, if you're tapping into the next evolution of yourself, that does also mean, you know, being honest means conversations that are vulnerable and that are scary and that can sometimes feel a little bit like this 5 of Wands, where you're having to put yourself in situations where you don't know how others are going to react, but you know, that truth bringing, and we're not talking about like just forcing somebody to see things your way. We're talking about like the truth of like, I need a little bit more space, or I need to get closer, or I'm very clear on this is what I need in my day-to-day life, right? Those conversations may be coming up and you may feel a little blind, you may feel a little nervous about it. But what I see even more with this energy is that desire to be in indecisive mode, indecision mode, and to be in a little bit more of the chaotic decision-making process where decisions are made via just as a result of things coming out of the chaos. And that's okay. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. But I'm saying this may be a month where you may want to experiment a little bit more with the quieter part of this process. Because this energy right here is like you trying to push for all your answers to be lined up before their time. And that being a little frustrating, and then you feeling a little bit more blind than if you had just relaxed, right? Because I tell you what, as we hit into Sagittarius season, which I am very excited for, even though it's a pretty intense season every year, I think we all have to admit that. You never know what's going to come from Sag season. There's a big, fateful opening happening in Sag season as we begin it. And that's where these last 3 cards come in. Wheel of Fortune, Moon, and 8 of Wands. Wow. You know, these energies are all about a big destiny shift. You know, timing is right here. So, you know, you think you have to like pre-analyze it, pre-schedule it, or, you know, rustle up some energy and get it chaotic enough so that you get your answers sooner. You don't actually need to do that because the Wheel of Fortune always brings things right on time. Something clicks, right? A new season begins. Wheel of Fortune is kind of that walking through the door, making the new agreement, saying yes to the new thing, the turn of the calendar, the turn of the clock, and there being that click. Now, you know, the catchphrase with Wheel of Fortune is like, oh, will you be going up or will you be going down? Your luck is changing. But you know what the Wheel of Fortune really is about a shift into fully shifting into the next thing. And yes, it can bring surprise. It can bring jolts of electricity. For you, it has to do with your deep emotive state. It has to do with bringing you forward on big life plans when it comes to your emotions and when it comes to your internal landscape and when it comes to your home environment, when it comes to those internal spaces within you. There's a huge thing going on with you moving forward on the emotional front, moving forward in what you are doing in this world. And so, you know, you can make all the noise you want here down on the ground in your little day-to-day world. sorry to belittle you. I don't mean it that way. I just mean, you can try and like force things to be answered and understood right now, but this will all come out in the wash, because what's a bigger energy than these three, right? These are much bigger. And you're having to trust in this, because this is a bit mystical, right? It's not going to come to you in the way that you've pre-planned it. It's going to come to you in a much bigger process that you're having to trust into. And this is part of these last gifts of Jupiter with you in your sign. And it's kind of like everything you've learned over the last 12 months, this is the 13th month of Jupiter in your sign, has been building you up to this point, has been teaching you about what expansiveness is and what healthy expansion is and what crappy expansion is, and how, how to be open and how to clear and how to be surprised by yourself and how to let people in and how to do all this stuff. All of these Jupiter lessons, Jupiter has been kind of playing dad, secretly, like low-key turning into Saturn. I don't really mean that, but it's like Jupiter is also a teacher, right? Yes, optimism. Yes, expansion and bounty. Jupiter is also going to be like, what do you really want to expand, right? So my point being here that you've been getting prepared, you've been getting groomed, that transit's been doing things to get you to this point where the 13th month of this transit, the last weeks of that Jupiter transit in your sign, is saying, okay, now it's time to move on this. Now it's time to be this. Now it's time to settle into this, and to remember that it does not require you always playing a role. It does not always require you to be in performance mode. In fact, we need you to calm yourself. Temper with both aspects of yourself. Because you've been getting prepared for this for a while. Okay, so there's big shifts coming in here, y'all. Like, your big shifts in identity, big shifts in what you are going to be doing in 2020, and I think it's going to hit in November that that's real. It's not just an idea. It's not just, oh, I think I'm going to go do this program, or oh, I think I'm going to go get into this relationship, or make this move, or start doing this project. It's like the reality of it's hitting, and it's like, oh, this is really going down, and it really is going to feel different. And I have some affirmations for you to take with you on this big, bold journey in November. So here we go. I am open to new horizons and new visions of who I am becoming. I welcome fresh perspectives. I trust in the small shifts that lead me forward. I am worthy and safe within this shifting landscape. It is all for my highest good. It's a powerful time. It's a powerful time. And I think you will be feeling that full circle. I've been talking about the full circle, and the Wheel of Fortune so has that energy. It's a full circle time. And with that comes a lot of aha moments and a lot of like, whoa, I see this now. And that helps shift things, right? It's kind of like ritualistic closeout opening up. And so that's powerful for you all. Take your time. Make sure you're getting enough rest. Make sure you're getting enough sleep and enough water. Make sure you're giving yourself space to meditate, to go for long walks and be daydreaming. Let yourself be floaty in the way that Saggies often are. Give yourself enough time within your schedule, within your lifestyle to do that, because a lot of information is coming in, and you are only going to be able to really receive it and enjoy it if you have enough soft spaces to welcome it in. You know how much I love you all. It's really important. It's really important for me to acknowledge how much I love you. You have been such an important part of my journey, and I'll always appreciate you all for everything you have given me and shown me on my path. So thank you, and I hope you have a beautiful November, and happy birthday to November Saggies. I'm excited to continue Sag season in December with you all. You can find that Mercury retrograde discussion on my Patreon. I'd love to see you over there. Thank you to those of you who have already joined me. It means the world to me. There will always be new stuff over there every week, so you can always check in with me there. You can find me on my website, SARAHTAROT.com, and I will be working up the notification email list for when my calendar opens for 2020. Right now it is not open yet, but it will be very soon, so I'll be announcing that in December, I think. So if you want to be included on the email list for that, please email me, which I will leave that in the description box. You can also find me on Instagram at SarahVerba. I would love to see you there. And of course, you can always find PinkLune's beautiful creations on her Etsy shop. I will leave her link below. I am sending you all so much love, and I will see you for Moon Magics and December ahead. Have a beautiful November, my beautiful soul tribe, soul family, and safe journeying through the last of Jupiter in Sagittarius.